Sure, I'll go over that. You mean in Illustrator, this part?
In Illustrator, yeah.
Right.
When you're starting out.
I like my artboards to be wider, usually, than my work. If I select a shape here and I take a look at the width of this shape, I designed this particular width at 640 pixels wide. So this is designed for the least common denominator monitor here, but that is not necessarily the width that you'll want to do it. One of the things that you can do, and I would advise doing, is if you are looking at one of your beloved links that you shared with me earlier today, feel more than free to, I'm just going to go to Adobe, to take a screenshot. And when you take a screenshot, that is Shift Command 4 is how I like to do it. You can not even have to open this up in another program. You can use this as a measurement tool. So Shift Command 4, and as I drag this across here, I can see that this width of this is 1903.
1903 what?
Pixels.
Okay.
Right? And then the height of this is really hard to read. 917, 920. So I would say like 920 by 1000 is a good size. It's a size that I use a lot. Also in and on the web, common sizes for web pages. And some very nice links right here at your fingertips, letting you look at different browser sizes, different devices, and at different resolutions. So this is a great site, which is websitedimensions.com. And then here, average web page is 960 by 1024. So, who knows? No, 1024 by 768 is a really good place to start. I designed this, so that was 1024 by 768 is a good place to start. But I designed this based on the least common denominator, which was 640 on the width.
Okay, so 640 by 1024 is what you're doing right now.
No, this is 640 wide.
Yeah.
It's for a 14-inch monitor.
Okay. But your actual screen, the actual size you created in Illustrator is wider than that, right? You set up the 640 after.
Well, this is just to give me air, right? To get the feeling of what is it going to look like if it's floating inside of a browser window.
Yeah.
And this is the actual size of the content. And it could be scalable from here. So keeping the aspect ratio the same, I can scale it up from here to 1024. So it's 640. Okay?
I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem.
I'm still confused. So for the width, you're doing 640.
For this page, I'm doing 640.
What are you doing for the height?
I don't know yet.
So, but when you're setting it up like this, just for starting and seeing what your layout is, what did you put?
Well, right now it's just random. There's not all the content is in here. So you're not necessarily going to know that height until you lay all the pieces out, even based on your sketch. Because once you put in the text, you're looking for a finite number, and it doesn't work that way.
Because you might have to make it longer.
Right. That's right.
And the internet allows that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? The most important number is the width. Okay? And the height is not a finite number. But a good start is 1024 by 768. That's a very common size, 1024 by 768. But I made this one, as per our discussion last week, at the least common denominator size, which is 640 for the width. Okay, so I'm going to proceed here, taking a look under view guides, and I am going to not throw the guides away, but rather just hide them. So now I have this. And there is a couple of considerations to look at here. One, which is the margin area, looking at these negative spaces and being very aware of your margins. And that's one very important reason to use your guides before you start filling in your content. Now I'm actually going to start putting the content in the boxes. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. one way is you could essentially try and size the content to the exact sizes that you think it has to fit into. But that's not really the easiest way. Or I should say, that is more time consuming unless you know how to make a clipping mask, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So I have all the boxes in place, and I'm going to go and open up my folder of all my contents that I have prepared, and that folder is called my artwork folder. And this folder contains just tons of different images for the site. Okay, had it open a minute ago. Let's try it again. So I would, for sure, collect all of your content in one place. When you start to build your page, start saving your content or your page inside of the folder where all the rest of your elements are going to be. My general prediction here for you is that you're probably going to have to sort and resort a couple of times. I'm going to go into documents here and just try going this way. When I look in this folder, it is called Art Various, and everything in this folder is in subfolders depending on the criteria. So this one is called Light Fantastic, and it has all images of a certain series. And you can see that some of the content I've already started to lay out in a small grid. Something like this is something you might want to do in Photoshop and drop into Illustrator. So Photoshop users, you want to go back and forth. People who are just working with Illustrator, you can do a lot of the same things in Illustrator. So I'm going to toggle back over to my Illustrator document, and this time I'm going to go Save As. And now that I am pointed in the right folder, I am in my Documents folder, and inside of my Documents folder is my Art Various folder, and here I am saving Home 01 AI in the Art Various folder. Now when I click Save, the one I'm working on is the one that's in that folder. It is not the one I opened before. So locate your Illustrator and or Photoshop files in the same folder with your art. It wasn't before, now it is. So far so good? Yes, no? All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is start placing some of the artwork. Placing the artwork does require that you don't move your Illustrator file. If you place the artwork and you move your Illustrator file may not be able to find your artwork. Placing also would make your Illustrator file smaller than pasting it. If you paste your content into your Illustrator file, you are embedding it. And embedding it is actually going to make your Illustrator file really big and bulky, and may have trouble making it into a PDF, and certainly have trouble emailing it. So place your content. So when you want to place something, it's place, file place. And now you can see it opens right up into the right folder. And here is a large image. And I'm going to place it. If I just click, it will put the image at full size. Okay. I'm going to undo here. Place again, file, place. And again, I'll select the same image and click place. And if I click and drag, it will try and place the image at the size I drag it to. Okay. So if in fact I want this artwork to be in that box and be cropped, I need two things. I need the artwork itself. I'm going to cut this. And I need the box that it goes into. So when you're in Illustrator, please look if you're not looking now. And if you're not familiar with Illustrator, the item that is selected shows up here indicating this blue square indicating that is the element that is selected. If I want to paste something underneath that, I need to know where that is. So if I now, again, click that item and I do edit, paste behind or in back, that's Command B, it'll just drop behind it. That's an incredibly important thing to know how to do. Being able to paste something, and again, it was placed and then I cut it. So it's not really embedded in here. It's still placed because I cut the placed artwork. Did you follow? Sorry, it's getting to that time of the night where my tongue is starting to get twisted. All right, so this element here, do I want to see exactly how that is going to fit in here? A great way to do that is to go to Window and then to choose the Appearance panel. The Appearance panel here will let me select the fill, and the opacity of that fill right now is at default, and I'm changing that so I can see through it, so I can see the alignment of these two elements. And in fact, I will close my panel, and then I can move my artwork up how I want it. Let's say I want it to crop and be in the space such as this, okay? Then again, I'll come back to this element. I do want to bring this back up to 100% because I don't want the artwork to be ghosted back or faded in any way. So I'll bring my Appearance panel back again. Keeping my eye on the time. I'm not going to be able to build this entire layout, but I'll be able to show you enough things that should get you started. And again, I'll bring this back to 100. Okay, now hit return, and again I'll collapse my panel. Get this out of the way. So this rectangle and this painting are now both selected. So I've clicked on one, held the Shift key, and clicked on the other, and I'm going to go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And that is the big takeaway. Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Then you'll notice you have created a clipping group. And if I click away, which I just did, and I click with the white arrow tool in the middle of this, I should be able to move the art inside the box. But make sure you're using the right tool, which is the white arrow, the direct selection tool. That's the direct selection tool. Now these areas here also represent photos. And in fact, I want these to butt up against each other. So I'm going to go to the regular selection tool and choose this middle bullet and drag that so it lines up. And again, I'll go get the artwork. So it's File, Place. And I'm going to pull something that's much more atmospheric as opposed to illustrative. So, you know, organize all your content, get it all where you think it should go. For me, I'm going to place this artwork. It's called Spark. And I'm going to click it and drag it out, and you can see there's some of it that is illustrative and some of it that is atmospheric. You may also find that you want to, out here, line up elements or images that you are going to put in later. And again, I'm going to go File, Place again. And I am going to crack open this one called Mermaid Environs and click and drag to place it. Right, perfect. So really the only part of this artwork that I need, and this is one big fat group here, and you can see if I go Object, Ungroup, I can actually break these pieces away. This is a Photoshop file opening up in Illustrator. Okay? And this is my atmospheric content. So you can do that. You can open this up, Perfect. All right, so now I want to take this art again and put it in the right spot. There it goes. Cut it, select where I want it to go inside of, and edit, paste in back of that element. Believe it or not, it is in back of it. You just cannot see it. It does not seem like it's lined up correctly. It doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to do it again. Command B. All right, I'm going to slide it over because I don't trust it. And then I'm going to select these two bits here. Hold the Shift key down and Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Okay. And same thing again. In fact, I can even paste it because it's still on the clipboard and move it to the location I want it to be at, which is here. Cut it, select, Command B, Shift click, Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Beautiful, okay? So it's starting to shape up. I'm starting to have the artwork in the right places that I need. Now, this next point I'm going to bring up is not crucial per se, but I think that along the lines of your experience, and I want you to know professional things, it can be and it will be eventually very important. And what this is working with the right fonts. So now I've showed you how to fill in some of these areas in Illustrator, and now I'm going to stop this recording